Listen, I don't know about you, but I started a business so I could do this. Travel, be with friends, be with family, create memories. I didn't do it to sit at the computer all day. I didn't do it so that I could just be in countless emails and Zoom meetings. I did it to create opportunities for myself and opportunities for others. So listen, if that's something that interests you, enjoying time with your friends, being out and about, definitely drop by Erica Williams' Classy Climb vlog. Check out the YouTube channel. We've got over 2,000 videos of free information that's actually changed people's lives. People actually post their new jobs, their new careers, their new businesses all the time over at the channel. What is good, everybody? I hope you can hear me, see me. Definitely drop a one in the comments if you can. Let me know that you can hear me and see me. What is good? This is your girl, Erica Class Blog. The wintertime beanie is back. You know what time it is. But if you haven't checked out, this is probably we're doing a later video tonight, but definitely I just want you guys to see October 25th. I think we have 5 tickets left for the bus. We got a bigger bus. And the ebook catalog is there. So there you guys go. If you're going this weekend to the Houston takeover, listen, drop a Houston in the chat. Come on, man. Type a Houston in the chat. I'm super excited to see you guys. So let's get into it because it's that time. Now, this show is going to be about private schools versus charter schools, money, zip codes, and power. Now, I'm not going to make this one crazy long. I just want to show you why people are going to choose private schools over charter, because charter is still at the mercy of local government. Certain governments that don't like people, they don't like you, it gets real complicated. Now let me show you this one. I'm gonna play this video twice, so don't be annoyed if I have to show it more than once, or I'll show it later in the video, because when we first come in, everybody doesn't see everything, and that's okay. So let's go here. Boom. This brother was popular. He was light skinned, he was young, he was talking. They was trying to figure out if he was going to be the next Michael Eric Dyson or Dr. Umar or whatever. He's a legit practitioner. A lot of the people, y'all want them to be online, but they're so busy practicing what they do, they don't have time. So let me show you this brother right here. And this is during the Obama years, he was on TV every day. And this is Connecticut now. Education inequality is rampant in America, and especially in where? Connecticut. Middletown needs capital prep that gets 100% of its graduates accepted to 4-year schools. And they got black people on the board now voting against this man, but let's go play it.
When you know you've done something wrong, that thump thump is in your hand. Let's turn. Thump thump. Knowing that you've done the wrong thing, and even if you get away with it, how do you deny the school that became the #1 applicant? How do you explain to them when the law clearly states that the State Board of Education shall determine which school is funded first? When you know you've done something wrong.
All right. So you're going to say, well, Erica, what is this about? This is, again, when I talk about people like, oh, private school. No. A lot of people open charter schools. They open prep academies. And they rely on what? The taxpayer. Somebody else can come in and say, oh yeah, we can't fund that prep school this year. Oh, we got to circle the wagon on the charter school money. That charter school money stealing from your child. And this is why, and I'm no disrespect, when we talk about private schools, a lot of times we're talking about people start entry level is $25,000 for the year. And they're making payment plans. Now, are there private schools all over the United States that are $10K, $15K for the year, $12K for the year, smaller, cheaper? Yeah, all over. But I'm just saying the standard, industry kind of standard is 25. Okay? 25. Now, why does that matter? Because he's in Connecticut. He is so successful that 100% of their graduates get accepted with lots of honors to private schools. Ivy League schools, all kinds of colleges. But they're being cut. Now, common sense would say, well, Erica, why aren't they cutting the public schools who are failing at reading? Why aren't they cutting the charter schools that are having issues? Why are they messing with this qualified charter school that's doing so well? Mr. Dr. Steve Purdy. Money, y'all. Can he switch this school You know what I'm saying? To a private school. Again, they are, again, you would be like, if the school was doing bad, we'd want to close it. This is a school for years that has been doing well, like 20 years. And now all of a sudden, no, we got to close them doors on that. I want you to understand. For 20 years, they've been providing quality private school level education to Black kids in that part of Connecticut. And now so we can't fund it anymore. We have to close it. Something's wrong. What's wrong? What's happened? I don't see, again. I'm not being disrespectful to him. He did a lot of TV. He did a lot of talking with the books. People were so happy. He is very much a practitioner. But I want you to understand, all those times he was on TV and hey, look at me, and here's my book to sell. This is where you're supposed to be raising funds, if need be, or have allies on your side. Everybody on that daggone board ought to be on his side. Why are they not on his side, y'all? What have we talked about? Again, 20 years they've been sending all these kids. Where are the alumni to donate back? Where no disrespect, I know these kids are starting their careers. If you've been in business 20 years, providing quality education, these kids are going off to college, nobody's donating back, nobody's working with a Congress member, nobody's ruffling enough feathers that this isn't national news. Okay. Let me play this part. Let me oh.
Where here in Middletown, Connecticut, my hometown, we had a conversation with the community. We have the number one high school in the state of Connecticut. This is a school that's majority Black, Latin, poor, that's beating everybody. So one would think, if you care about our community like this, like if you really care, and you get the opportunity to make another one, would you make another one? Their fight is so hard to stop us opening the school that serves our community. But they're not stopping these weed spots from opening up. Liquor stores. They don't mind us being high, but they mind us having a higher education. Understand that too many decisions that impact your lives are never brought to you. Nobody ever comes to try to express me. What do you think? What do you want for your children? What do you want for your children? What do you want for your children? Came to Travis.
Okay. Now, again, when it comes to, I'm going to open charter schools, I'm going to work with the government, we're going to have a nonprofit. Again, what should be Steve's next step? Steve should not be like, hey, we want to open another charter school over here, and please don't close down the one we've had for 20 years. His movement should be private school. And somebody should be in his office writing the Black Lawyers of America, the Black Doctors of America, which is an association that donated, and that's how I learned how to play golf in my private school. They have multiple chapters. They have 100 Black men of Austin, Dallas, Houston, 100 Black men of DC. Right? Why is Steve saying, well, we're going to work with the government? We're just going to work? Again, because these are poor communities. Steve should have somebody on his team to say, listen, Steve, the city and the state, I don't know who we made mad, but we're beating everybody. They don't like it. We don't have a congressman in our pocket. It's time to pivot. Exactly. It's time to pivot. We need to open up a private school. And then we literally have somebody on staff that all their job is to do is send pictures of kids, send pictures of stuff. We're sending millions of dollars overseas. We're sending 40 billion to Argentina. And you're trying to tell me we can't find frat brothers, the Masons, exactly. The sisters, what are they called? The sister stars or whatever. All those sorority groups, all those women's groups, all those different millions of Black associations. And the reason a lot of people aren't thinking like that is because they aren't a part of anything. And I'm not trying to be ugly, but Steve knows these groups would support. Steve knows better than anybody that if he just sit there and racked up the list of people, Eastern Stars, there it is, that could literally just write checks every year and they go, thank you for your donation. Your donation put 7 kids through to college. Your donation did this. Again, you're peeling to the heartstrings because you don't have a demographic that can pay for the private school. They can't pay for it. Right? So I just wanted that was a part of the intro. And I want you to understand, again, every time you depend on the government, Boy, they're gonna show you. Now let me show you this one right here.
Out nearly every black medical school in America. I'm Dr. Michael H. Ford, and this is a story you need to hear. In 1910, a man named Abraham Flexner published a report that would transform American medicine. Backed by the Carnegie Foundation, it called for higher standards, more scientific training, and tougher licensing for doctors. Now, on paper, it sounded like progress, but in practice, it became the blueprint for exclusion. Flexner visited 155 medical schools, including 7 that trained black physicians. He praised elite institutions like Johns Hopkins as the gold standards and called black schools substandard. He wrote that black doctors should focus on hygiene, not surgery, that their purpose was to protect white Americans from disease. After that, 5 of the 7 black medical schools were closed. Flint Medical College in New Orleans, Knoxville Medical College in Tennessee, Louisville Medical College in Kentucky, Leonard Medical School at Shaw University in North Carolina, Chattanooga National Medical College in Tennessee. Only Howard University and Meharry Medical College survived. Historians estimate that if those schools had remained open, America would have tens of thousands more black doctors today. Instead, generations of healers and the communities they would have served were erased from opportunity. Flexner's reforms raised medical standards, but they also raised barriers that still shape who gets to wear the white coat and who gets care that truly sees them. Because equity isn't just about who gets treated, it's also about who gets to treat. Healing starts with knowing. Follow for more. What if I told you that one report, written by a man who wasn't even a doctor, wiped out nearly every black medical school?
All right. So if you ever, there's a couple reports that are like this that essentially said if we had when World War I and World War II ended, you had black veterans who had their GI Bill. And because this black schools we did have were so full. I mean, they were just so full. They were like, there were nowhere for people to sleep. There were nowhere for people to go. People were standing up in the classrooms. They had 100 people classrooms, right? The numbers that should be, like, as far as the doctors, the lawyers, the nurses, the teachers in the black community should be 3x, honestly, in reflection to our population, in reflection to how many people got the GI Bill. This is why when they went back 5 years later and they couldn't get the GI Bill used, the government wouldn't let them use their GI Bill. You know, all of a sudden, all these African American people who could have went to school, who were trying to apply for school, could not get to school. So again, you should see the Cosby should be a solid 35% of our society. But they're not, because what? These schools were closed down. Now, again, imagine somebody being so hateful, like they just need to focus on washing their hands. What? Again, it's unfortunate. But let me show you another one. Let me show you another one. Let me show you this. This is the private school. And again, this is the Hometown Holler. His page is very interesting. He talks a lot about North Carolina. This is important because this is in Sanford. And Sanford is a place, and I'm going to say this, Sanford got de-industrialized. A lot of warehouse factories closed. We're beside Sanford in Fayetteville, North Carolina. But they like to say Fayetteville, Vietnam is so violent. It's so dangerous. Please, there's plenty of veterans here who have second and third houses here. Nobody breaks in. They leave them alone. They don't bother them. But if you ask, there's these racial color coding of, well, I left Fayetteville because I didn't want to deal with all the riffraff. I didn't want my kids going to school with so many different types of people. And you're like, what are you talking about? And again, this is because we're a military town. We have a lot of diversity. But if you look at some numbers, if you subtract the military, the town would be 52% black. Also, it's the highest black business ownership area. It's one of the highest black home ownership owners. It's one of the highest black pensioners. This is why I tell you, when I go to the bank and it's full of black men, and all of them are 300 pounds, retired, fat, and happy. This is very common here for me. I had 7 male teachers over the course of me going to school. And they were like, how is that possible? I was like, I lived in a military town. Lots of men retire or do volunteer teaching or substitute teaching. That's not uncommon. Okay. So let me play this for you. This is out of Sanford. And again, they're not Pinehurst.
Per student. That's a tuition.
Let me fix that. Pinehurst has Tiger Woods golf, looks like the Hallmark Channel. When people say, oh, I don't want to live in Fayetteville, I'm going to live in Pinehurst. I'm like, okay, your husband's going to drive an hour every day to work. That's fine. right? That's your choice. But at the same time, people in Sanford be like, there's nothing to do out here. Well, y'all wanted to go out there to get away from the riffraff. So create what you want. So here we go.
Tuition hike far beyond what most families could ever afford without these vouchers. And yet the school isn't exactly welcoming all students. Parents have publicly complained about the school denying enrollment based on what the school is calling administrative prerogative. This is just a fancy way of the school saying, we don't want your kid and we don't have to tell you why. Citing a vague phrase like administrative prerogative can be useful for private religious schools receiving public dollars because it allows them to dodge accusations of racial, religious, sexual, or intellectual discrimination. Meanwhile, Grace Christian School is planning a nearly $100 million expansion, new buildings, sports facilities, and more, all fueled by your taxpayer dollars. Bottom line, North Carolina's voucher program is not about helping kids trapped in failing schools. It is a taxpayer-funded scheme for private schools to hike tuition, exclude students, and grow their empires, all while public education loses funding and oversight. Grace Christian School has topped the list of voucher recipients for 3 years running, raking in over $10 million of your taxpayer dollars. I know a private religious school receiving taxpayer dollars feels icky, but it actually gets a lot worse. The school has more than doubled its tuition in just 2 years, from $8,000 to over $18,000 per student. That's a tuition hike far beyond what most families could ever afford without these vouchers. And yet the school isn't exactly welcoming all students. Parents have publicly complained about this.
Okay, now why does this matter? You're basically gonna see private schools go on steroids. I mean, you're gonna see just a surplus. And you're saying, well, Erica, people can't afford it, the economy. What do you mean? There's no way that private school is gonna increase the economy. Everybody's losing money. Nobody has any money. But let me play this for you. This is why they're gonna start seeing an increase. This is the new agenda for the schools all over America. Here you go.
That will lead to good jobs and solid careers.
Open your eyes.
Let me pause that for you. On July 25th, AFT President Randy Weingarten announced new partnership with the World Economic Forum. World Economic Forum is known for advocating for global policies like digital ID, social credit scores, and central economic planning. All things that fail in most of the countries that have tried it. But okay, Wintergarten says the curricular aims to promote good jobs and solid careers in U.S. manufacturing. Y'all, why would we want to switch to U.S. manufacturing when that's been a dying thing for 20 years? Even if we bring back half the warehouses that they say they're going to bring back, that's been a dying industry. Again, this is reinforcing and teaching what? You do what you're told and shut up. That's why it says it's good jobs. Okay, critics point to the WEF ties to China and support for green energy policies that undermine traditional manufacturing. Wintergarten also used her speech to attack the former President Trump and his education tax policies. Let's keep going. Oh, wait, what? WG pushes for renewables or regulations, many argue, directly conflict with robust manufacturing growth in the United States. Made in China Part 2, asking whether China model is the future of global manufacturing. Okay, let's keep going. Despite the climate rhetoric, the organization continues to partner with China and host major events in China, a nation that relies heavily on coal and forced labor. Yeah, you know, China, where they force kids who are special needs and what we would call, unfortunately, the word retarded. Yeah, they force them into the mines. Yeah, they force them into the coal mines. Right here in America, if you open up more coal mines, West Virginia folks just gonna go in them. But over there, they force the people into coal mines. They take the prisoners out of jail and put them in the coal mines. Okay. So let me keep going. Again, let's finish reading right here. Wintergarten used her platform to criticize Trump's tax and education policies, claiming they were attacking the foundations of our humanity. She accused the administration of starving families and harming public schools through budget cuts and deregulation. This isn't the first time Wintergarten has made waves. She was also vocal for extended COVID lockdowns, push for more federal money to reopen schools, and remains a champion of critical race theory and racial gender ideology in classrooms.
We are about to announce a partnership with the World Economic Forum to create a curriculum that will lead to good jobs and solid careers.
Okay, now we're gonna look at her like, say what? Say what? Now, why am I bringing this up? You again, most people will tell you, no, Erica, where we live, our schools are so great. It's small. It's a small community. We watch out for each other. We watch out for the kiddos. We don't need that, Erica. My kid doesn't have to go to private school because we moved to this $1 million neighborhood and the schools are just those kids, right? That is a talking point that's heavily pushed. Heavily pushed that if you just move to a different neighborhood, if you just get away from those people, whatever people you deem to be undesirable. Hold on one second. Okay, sorry about that, you guys. So again, they're already pivoting and changing who and what is taught in your schools, who and what has access to your kids, who and what can use what bathrooms. I'm telling you, the 10x movement of getting these kids into these private schools that are going to raise money so their kid can have the type of education they want them to is going to increase. Right? So here's another one. Here is just this right here. Let me play this with the audio ad. Let me see if I can get it straight.
Ages of like 3 months until they're not a child anymore. If you do the math, children spend just as much time away from their parents during the waking hours as they do with them. 40 to 50 hours away from their parents during the week, and then evenings with their parents during the week, and then of course weekends. Like, how is everyone okay with someone else raising their children half of the time? Why isn't anyone mad about this? Like, why does no one talk about this? Not just that, but why are people fighting to be away from their children? Like, why are people fighting for that? I'm not saying what is right or wrong, but it just doesn't make sense to me that some adults and some parents spend just as much time with their coworkers as their children and think that that is normal. Like, how is anyone justifying this or, again, okay with it? Most children being born today will only see their parents for about 2 to 3 hours a day from the ages of like 3 months until they're not a child anymore. If you do the math, children spend just as much time away from their parents during the waking hours as they do with them. 40 to 50 hours away from their parents during the week, and then evenings with their parents during the week, and then of course weekends. Like, how is everyone okay with someone else raising?
Okay. So listen. This is a tell this time. Why am I bringing this up? Why does this matter in the context of stuff? You guys are not being properly educated at school, at work, you name the place. It's not happening, right? We've allowed a lot of things in the school system that don't help, but we also have the danger of people like this. Let me just show you this. This is again why I'm telling y'all, people don't want their kids in regular public school. They're having to implement in parts of California in Florida dental exams to see how old the Latino people that are saying that they're teenagers are, that are refugees, that they're trying to come to school with your child and your daughter. And it's causing havoc in California. There's a lot of SA going on with young girls. Parents are complaining. But what's the ultimate thing that you're responsible for? I can complain about my child getting bullied, but ultimately what I have to do, I have to remove my child out of that school system. And I have to do what? Either homeschool or put them in private school. Eric, everybody can't do that. And that's the point. Okay. That's the point. They're switching all this stuff where you can, if you're in middle school, you can go to college, you can take college courses for free. They're trying to skill up as quickly as possible. These next 2-3 years are going to be quite rocky and people are not ready. That's basically what my second show is going to be about later today. But let's play this. I wanted y'all to see this. This is just dangerous.
Foster. Cops say this 24-year-old pretended to be 16 and even enrolled as a high school student, reportedly dating fellow students. Now he's under arrest. Allison Hall has the details.
This high school sophomore is under arrest. But wait, he sure doesn't look like a 16-year-old kid.
In fact, he's not a kid at all. He's actually 24 years old. And for the last year, authorities say he's been posing as a 16-year-old student here at Perrysburg High School in Ohio.
What's your name, man? I'm Tony. Anthony. Anthony.
Authorities say Tony conned school officials using a fake birth certificate to enroll. But his driver's license lists his true age. He was born in 2001, making him 24. And Tony Labrador Sierra didn't just fool the school. Cops say he duped his foster family, who took him in believing he was a minor with nowhere to live.
In my mind, I'm just thinking, is this guy really our age?
Gentry Stevens says he'll never forget the day he faced off against the phony sophomore at a high school soccer game.
Do you remember at the time thinking, like, how old is this guy?
Yeah, like, it was really weird. He had tattoo sleeves down his thigh and on his arm. He was a lot bigger than everyone else.
We spoke with classmates who say he even dated several underage girls. State Representative Josh Williams says the scheme was part of a plot to evade deportation back to Venezuela since his visa expired 2 years ago.
He was trying to get a free pass, free housing, free education, get to play on sports, not have to go to work and provide for his kids.
You heard right. He's no kid, but he has one himself.
I was appalled.
Anthony Labrador Sierra has pleaded not guilty to the charges.
This is the problem. Can y'all y'all, people are crashing out. I mean, this man has a whole girlfriend with a baby, and he's out here dressing up like a sophomore in soccer, playing soccer. A hairy grown man in the locker room with your child. You know why this is? Because people think 15 to 25 is the best years of their life, and they have nothing else to look forward to. And if they could just go back and do it again, like the movies, they would have this great life if they could just go back to high school. If they could just go back and go to college one more time. What would possess you? Again, and these families are opening up their homes. Yeah, we'll foster your child. We'll do all this stuff. Y'all, this is crazy. Do you understand? Like, he's mentally ill. And he's not the only one. They're catching a bunch of Latino folks who are coming across the border saying that they're 15 and 16. Please don't send them back. They're putting them in foster care instead of deporting them. And so they ended up at school with your kid. This isn't the only story. Please Google this in your own time. I'm just trying to get you guys to see that the number one determining factor of will your child be successful is number one is their zip code. This is why when y'all try to apply these hood techniques to, yeah, all you got to be is a bad B and look amazing and some rich man gonna pick you up. That's not true. That Pretty Women movie got y'all in delusion. That's not true. That's madness as well. If you're in the hood, and you have access to other hood people. All right, Erica, NIL is called private schools. Go listen. Now North Carolina made it only private schools can get the NIL money. So what's gonna happen? We're gonna have more private schools. They're going to be able to poach the best black running back from other schools because don't you want that NIL money, boy? Come on over here to this school. So when I sit here and tell y'all, I really thought about opening up a school. No, Dr. Umar, but for real, open up a school because they charging big money out here and they ain't going to do but get bigger. Do nothing but get bigger. There's two of the biggest private schools in this city. Thousands of students. Folks ain't ready. Imagine the people we had to teach how to bathe, literally telling us we're dirty. Man, do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, they better worry about washing their hands. What? So, in DC, this city government funds 85% of the local charter schools. There are groups that just advocate year-round for charter school funding. So how was their government outreach? Exactly, Alexander. When I see Steve Perry in this situation, I'm like, all them times you was on MSNBC, pumping the book, talking about the Obamas, meeting the Obamas, like you don't got no connections to call the Obamas now. You ain't got nobody to shake the tree now. Somebody say open up. Let me see. I just opened up my own non-public school in NC called a Brighter Future Academy. Congratulations. Leave us a link to your it might not let you post it in the group, but send an email to admin@classyclimbtx.com. Send us a link to your school. There's ways to donate. I mean, I'm there's a lot of Montessorial preschools opening up all over Texas. And I know what's coming down the pipeline. It's just more separation. You're going to get to a point where when you're trying to interact with some of these kids, you ever hear the Gen Z stare? It's going to be the wealthy stare. They're going to look at you like, oh, what are you coming over here for? Why are you talking to me? There's always been a hierarchy in any groups, any society. There's always been separation in any groups, any society, and it will continue to happen. That's just what's coming up on the horizon. I'm glad my parenting days are over. High school during the vid for my kids was crazy. Oh, for sure. For sure. Like insane. I've been waiting for this one. I know someone who sacrificed everything to send her daughter to private school, and I commend her for it, but ready to hear your thoughts. No, listen. I want people, if they're gonna, hey, I'm gonna put the money away. I'm gonna do what I gotta do to send my kid to private school. I'm all for it. Salute, hats off to you. We sent both our kids to Catholic private school with no regrets. We did have back because we brought in an upper class blue ribbon area. Okay, there you go. I mean, you just have to decide, right? Because at the end of the day, when you pay money, like physical, like we all pay taxes for sure, but when you pay physical money to the school and you go up there and complain, guess what happens? Oh, let's see what we can do. Let's see how we can help you. Let's see how we can turn this thing around. Let's see how we can talk to little Johnny, right? Come on. It's a big money ant, dog. It's big money. And it also makes that parent feel like, well, my child doesn't just go to any old daycare. They go over here, right? They're away from your kids. Again, people will figure out what's the price to pay to feel upper class. That's just all there's to it. They're going to do whatever they can do to figure out how do we become upper class? How do we do this and that? I'm not trying to be funny. I'm being totally serious on this, because to me, to have some 24-year-old dude who signed up to high school. She said they poached my son from public school to private school in Northern Virginia, changed the course of his life for sure. And it's all exposure. You know what I'm saying? So if you have your child in a certain group of people from 15 till they graduate and the expectations are very low, man, you're going to have a time on your hands. Again, Tim Jackson, all these nonprofit groups say they need to talk to these young boys from 8 to 12 years old, because they kind of lose them. They're losing them to their peers, right? Where what their peer says is the best thing ever. And that's dangerous, y'all. That's heavy dangerous. Bro making Ohio look bad. No, listen, bro telling on Ohio. I mean, they up there putting them in their house around their kids. He a full grown man with body hair hanging out in locker rooms with middle school kids. He needs to get the fullest extent of the law. Oh, no. What I was saying, Alexander Wilson, the Obamas, if you go back and Google up Mr. Perry, the Obamas did a lot of like stomping as like, look at this example. Look at this example of how, government works with schools. And in my whole point of talking about the Obamas, everybody that was in that room, he should be able to have some type of reach out, some type of reach back, some type of follow up. They send postcards. They send, a Christmas card. Look at all our graduates every year and send out stuff. Right? Let me send a card out to all our fundraisers. Thank you so much. Look at all our kids who graduated. I'm just using the fact that he was getting a lot of shine during the Obama years that I thought, why didn't he ever switch to a private school? This made no sense. He was on the news nonstop. It was like, and again, you don't know what something's going to turn out till you don't know, right? Till it gets to the end of the road. But at this point, you cannot tell me that Perry doesn't have enough power and clout to reach out to X amount of people, campaign, email list, just help in Connecticut and raise enough money to keep the school open. Or raise enough money to switch the school over to the classification of private. and switch every teacher that's there to a private. Here's your new contract. You work for now the new Perry's Catholic private school, whatever, right? And immediately switch over and follow all the rules and have a lawyer on side. Like, hey, this is what we're gonna do. This is how fast we can change it. Now we need to go out and get this amount of money. It's crazy. It's crazy. But yes, he does need to reach out local officials. Because at some point there's I would say from 13 to 18, what they say is law. You could be telling them, right, like, I've lived longer than you, I know more than you. They don't want to hear that. Oh, you already know. They didn't expect failure. They won't plan with you. It's time to get, again, that's what I say about I had male teachers. They were like, okay, what's that got to do with me? I don't feel good today. So what? They were just, they didn't have a lot of compassion on the scale of like, there's some excuse why you can't do it. They just didn't care. And so I just want you to understand, like, they're doing a pipeline here. Let me see if I can pull it like this. Because I know y'all are like, oh no, people are this. I'm telling you, they're literally kind of segueing themselves out. Hold on, let me see if I found it. Dang, where is it at? I think it's this one. Okay, so this is take it with a grain of salt, as they would say, right? Again, this is my favorite guy to harp on for the current time.
Again, this is exactly what I would do to be making $80K in 2025. I wouldn't go to college. I wouldn't spend 4 years just to have a good career. I'd go straight into a BDR or SDR role in tech sales. Those jobs, they pay $80K or more in the first year, and then typically they're getting promotions to roles that pay $120,000 to $140,000, working remote in year 2, selling for the top 1% of tech companies, AI and software products. That's what I did after wasting 4 years of my life getting a college degree, and nobody even asked me in the interview process or ever cared that I had a degree. I've seen tons of other smart young people doing exactly this same thing. When I eventually figured my shit out and broke into tech sales, then I went from making $60K to $220K in just 3 years. But I could have been doing that 5 years earlier.
Okay, now why am I bringing this up? You're like, oh, Eric, everybody's not going to do tech. But I'm telling you, what they look for is somebody who's 18 to 20. They just started. They put them out on door sales. They put them out at the car dealership. They put them on the phones. They do all these things because they know this is an age where the person has, I would say, enough energy and focus to learn on the job, and not just learn on the job, but more than likely just go, yeah, I'm going to do whatever you say because I've never had a job before. Right? So again, this is where you're going to see a lot of these people come from the pipeline of private school to this to that. Right? Because a lot of people are going to college and I had to work all night and day. I couldn't even enjoy the activities. I couldn't join any associations. I couldn't do any internships. Well, you shouldn't have went. You shouldn't have went. That's just, you know what I mean? Like, you're there to network. You're there to talk to people. You're there to interact. This is why you see these kids saying, well, I'd rather be a YouTuber. I'd rather be this or that, because they want to get straight to it. They want to get straight to the activities. Okay. Now, I'm not going to comp on this too long because I'm doing another show later, but I just want you guys to understand, like, they're really, they're not jaded. They're not going to push back. Oh, at my last job, I did this. They don't care what you did your last job. You ain't a manager. So they're going to just roll with it. And so I just want you to understand, this is what's going to happen. You're going to see a lot more private schools, especially in the Dallas area, because a lot of people are moving into gentrified areas or areas where they thought they could kind of, the area would change really quickly, and it didn't. So you're going to see a lot more of these. You're going to see a ton more of these private schools opening up. And I just want you to understand, make sure you're placing you and your kids somewhere where they're not having to come up here and beg. Please don't close our functioning, qualified school that's doing great. Like, let's not do that. Let's not do that. Let's get, again, people are not learning how to play the game. The game is associations. There you go. I just looked up Perry School, $9.99, and 70% of revenue comes from state funding. He can't switch to private because that money would disappear. But that's my whole point. Alexander, he has been doing this 20 plus years. He's been on TV nonstop. He should be able to say, this school that we're just using a particular building, we can change the title to. They've done it in Brooklyn. They've done it in several other states. They've done it in several other places. He can do it too. When they started government, the state and the government start cutting their money, cutting their revenue, saying they were not doing, they switched to private. They switched the whole staff. They switched the teaching. They switched everything. They made parents sign forms, sign like, here's the new school. This is the rules. You're transferring your kid from this to this. Like, they've done this before in other areas. That's not what the point of this video was, for us to harp on. Well, he can't switch. He can switch, Alexander. It just would come with money, nonstop fundraising, and what else? Right? You would just have to figure out how many teachers we have to pay. What's the light bills? Like, I'm not even being funny. There's a couple of channels I wanted to parlay and show you, but they're popping these private schools up everywhere because it's just a contract for the building, contract for the lights, contract for this, and they're focusing on who is fundraising. Right? That's really what it comes down to. If a parent wants their child to succeed, they need to be serious about navigating their school years. The time of just having a child just to be like everybody else is over. Oh, that's been over. That's been over. Unfortunately. Really, really sadly, unfortunately. That's been over. So I'm not going to be in here all day. All this stuff is fixable. All this stuff is changeable. But if you think you're going to play a game and you're winning, like you're doing laps around the competition in that area, every kid you have is doing this, and you think, man, it's been gravy for 20 years. They're never going to change this process. That's my whole point. He should have had a plan. He's been around too many education departments. He's been around too many people in the education space. I've seen people who come, they were just a math teacher and they come out and put out math books and math study guides and make millions of dollars. Like, education's a problem. People are willing to throw money at it. But I thank you for your commentary. I really do. I just wanted to say that was the part of the show today, and I'll see y'all later for the second show. Good luck out there. A lot of things are changing, and I hope if you have children under the age of 15, y'all can get them where you need them to be. So anyways, this is your girl, Erica Classic Clown Blog. I'm super excited for the Houston takeover this weekend. The weather is acting a little funky. So when we get on the bus, you might need your raincoat. I'm seeing the weather in Houston, but it always does change. So I'm just going to advocate, you might want a rain jacket. You know what I mean? You might. I'm going to have my cowboy hat on, blocking me from any rain, but you might want your rain jacket and you might want an umbrella. But we still have like 5 seats on the bus, super big bus. We're going to have a great time, and you should have the restaurant. You should have the restaurant in the email today. If you don't see it on Friday, not today. And the restaurant they'll be our last stop of taking me on the bus. And it's a good one. It's very much in Texas style. So you guys will like it. Anyways, this is your girl, Erica, Classic on Blog. Later.
You've probably been seeing these commercials for Middleman to Millions course. What is Middleman to Millions? We're teaching so many people how to have service businesses. The upcoming year, one of the fastest growing businesses you will see are service businesses and digital businesses. Why is that? Because so many things need repairs, need maintenance, and guess what? We have a shortage of men and also women who can do things. Listen, I'm not the best with a hammer, but I know I can gather a crew of people to get things done, and that's what I've done with 2 of my service businesses. And that's what I'll be teaching if you check us out in the Middleman to Millions course. And look forward to us on the road with Digital Liberty Tour 2024. It's Erica Williams.